We're here at Richmond Raceway ahead of Toyota Owners 400 race weekend. We got an awesome interview with Dennis Bickmeier. We talked about the next gen, talked about his unfortunate departure from Richmond Raceway, and how this race weekend could be the best race weekend we see at Richmond in a long time. All right, so you've been track president since 2011, and recently the news broke. Unfortunately, you're leaving. You're going to be the Henrico County Executive Director of Sports and Entertainment. You've done so much for this place over the years, getting youth involved and obviously bringing great race into Richmond. What have you seen in this next-gen car over the past with the short track at LA, the quote-unquote short track in Phoenix, that you think will be exciting come race weekend this weekend?
Well, I'm looking forward to the next-gen car being here. I mean, we've had a couple of test sessions here. We were the first track that they actually brought the car to shake it down. So excited about that. But I think the racing's been really good. I think it's been unpredictable, too. And there's a little bit of practice back, not a lot, so we'll see how much the teams can learn in 35-minute practice session and then some qualifying. But I think the racing is going to be good. I'm excited to see it. There are some veteran drivers that have not fared so well in the new car. And then there's some young talent that's out there grabbing checkered flags right now. So we'll see what happens in Richmond this weekend.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I feel like there's a big youth movement moving into the sport right now. And a lot of the stuff that you've done as a track president and managing Richmond has been getting the youth involved. You obviously have the fan grounds. I've gone down every time that I've been here, and it's phenomenal. I love spending time down there. But also what you do in the Midway, trying to get youth involved. And how important is that to get the youth involved, see a youth movement coming into the sport for the future of the sport?
Well, I think you look at it a couple of ways. You look at it, the talent on the racetrack and the drivers and the youth movement that's going on there, and the opportunity for these young drivers to build a new fan base. So hopefully, as we, as promoters, bring young fans to the racetrack, that they can make that connection maybe with some of this young talent that's out there. Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Ross Chastain, who won last week. Go down the list. I mean, these drivers are super, super talented. But for us, yeah, it's about the next generation of race fans. The one thing I love about the sport, but the thing that I've been able to witness here at Richmond over my tenure is, like, the sport's generational, and it's really cool to see generations at the racetrack. So a parent, bringing a son or a daughter to the racetrack, or a grandparent bringing a grandson or granddaughter to the racetrack, that means a lot because you're able to pass the sport on to the next generation. So for us, we also then have to make sure that we provide things for them to do. Like when you come this weekend, you'll see a kids zone. We haven't had a kids zone in a couple of years, so it's good to see the kids zone coming back. And then driver appearances, all these things that we can do to make sure that we connect the sport to our fans.
Mm-hmm. You talk about, like, next generation. We're talking about the youth movement, the next generation of cars. What's, like, your favorite race, and I guess in the old generation of the car, that you're gonna, like, miss the most when you leave here?
So I think back to a day race here when actually Carl Edwards bumped Kyle Busch out of the way coming out of turn 4. I think a lot of people said that they would have liked to have been a fly on the wall in some of those meetings after that. But I think that for me, it's just really, it goes back to a couple of things. It's the fans. It's seeing some of the battles on the racetrack, seeing a Martin Truex Jr. finally break through on a short track, and now he's like king of the short tracks all of a sudden, But he started that here in Richmond, and then you see like Alex Bowman the last couple of years being able to grab a couple of wins here. So all those things mean a lot. Obviously, the drivers mean a lot to the history and the legacy of Richmond Raceway. So it's hard to pinpoint one or two races that really stand out to me. But just, again, excited to see the action back on the track.
Yeah, and the way the season's going, unpredictability comes into it. We don't have any idea who's going to win. Obviously, there hasn't been like a first-time winner. But let's move on to the other side. What's like the most challenging part about being a track president?
Well, I think from the challenging part is, the unpredictability of Mother Nature, and you have to plan for so many contingencies. You plan to have a perfect race weekend, and you have a vision for what a perfect race weekend would look like, and being able to deliver great experiences to fans. But then, you got to be ready for the curveballs. So again, Mother Nature is one of those curveballs that we always have to contend with. And then again, other things that just making sure that people can get in, ingress, egress, move around the property very easily. Those are all important things. For us, if something happens on property, who knows? You always plan for every little contingency, emergency situations, all of that. So you never want to have to use some of the things that we plan for, but I think fans are thankful that we do plan for it. So, you have these huge events, and, I tell people all the time, people ask, what's the best part of your job? And I say race weekend. They say, what's the worst part of your job? I'm like, race weekend. They're like, well, it can't be both. It's like, there's a lot of things that, that you have to plan for just to make sure that you're keeping people safe and healthy now, and how we have to prepare for events differently.
Yeah, I think as race fans, or just in general, Mother Nature stinks on race weekends. It was a couple years ago at Texas. We had the 4-day rain delay, and so we totally understand that.
Experienced one of those in Michigan once. So.
Right. And then one last question. I'm sure you've been asked it a lot today. What do you think your biggest success is here at Richmond Raceway?
Yeah, I think for me, the thing that stands out most is just the relationship I've built with fans. There are a lot of fans that have actually become like really good personal friends and will be friends for a long, long time. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud that, that I've been out there with the fans, listening to fans, trying to make changes based on the feedback that they give us to upgrade the facility, to bring races that they want to see here, like bringing the trucks back and bringing the modifieds back. So proud of that. Proud of what we've been able to do to update and modernize the facility. This new infield is an example of that. Try to do things to upgrade the concourses, so I think those things will really stand out to me when I reflect back. I think the other thing too, non-racing, is the opportunity that we've had to give back to our community. So through Richmond Raceway Cares, which is our nonprofit foundation, we've done a lot of fundraisers. We raise money and then we give that money back out to nonprofits in the area. Like we're doing track laps for charity, things like that, where you can bring your own car for $20 and drive around the racetrack. And then another non-racing thing was during the pandemic, being able to use the facility for a mass vaccination site, food distribution, equipment distribution, things like that.
That's awesome. Well, you've definitely been an inspiration to us. We met through a Richmond Raceway Esports League and started the podcast and started everything. And I always reflect on the day that we talked and ended up making a youth fan advisory board eventually. So thank you for taking the time to talk with us. We're so excited to have race weekend and be back at the track.
Appreciate it. And we look forward to having everybody back. Thank you.
Second guessing you once again.